Good morning and a very warm welcome from Shropshire. And it is a very warm welcome. We have had a bit of a heat wave here and it has been probably getting on for a month without rain. But we finally had rain on Sunday and it is now Friday. And so I thought I'd show you how much things have improved in just those few short days. I have my few cows in the background in the field next to me to keep me company these days. They are due to have babies, so they have a rest and a holiday in our field. So it's always nice to see, and it's even nicer when a calf springs out. But I think we're okay for that this morning. But I thought I'd show you what's growing in the cutting patch this day on the 16th of June. So it's mid-June. I'll show you the progress. By far the thing of note at the moment is the biennials. So the Campanula has just opened out. So we've got one that's white and a lovely blue one. Which all look fabulous. I'm not quite sure whether I can really use them in a flower arrangement, not the sort that I use, so I'm not sure I'll grow them again, but they do look kind of spectacular. I wasn't expecting the bells to be quite so large. We've had the end of the cornflower that's self-seeded. I'm going to cut off the flowers and dry them and try and keep as much of the blue as possible. They just collapsed with all of the rain and I did a very poor job at staking, and that is pretty much what the story of this month is about, my poor staking. So I've cut them all back. We'll harvest the flowers for drying, and I've got some new cornflowers growing, so we can start again, and hopefully a more pleasant colour for flower arrangements. The sweet Williams have been absolutely spectacular. I've never grown them before. I kind of thought they were a bit granny-ish, but boy, then do they pack a punch, and you don't need many of them to fill a vase. So they're fantastic. Look at this stem, let me show you. This stem goes all the way down here. So you've got one long, lovely stem, perfect for flower arrangements, and that is just one of many stems on that plant. So they all look great. The Nigella is coming into its own. This was self-seeded. Again, it's pretty much all white. There's the odd blue one that's coming through now, which looks lovely. But I'll be keeping it mainly for the seed heads. These are great dried in arrangements later in the year, so I'm going to try and make myself quite a few wreaths. So I'm going to use those in those arrangements. The same with the poppies. We've got some lovely poppies that are self-seeded, and I am saving them mainly for the seed heads. So they're lovely little delicate seed heads that we can make use of. The poppies are not really that useful in a vase, I don't think. They don't last. The petals drop pretty quickly, so I just don't think it's worth it. In the background we've got some Achillea. Now this Achillea, there's maybe, I don't know, maybe 5, I might need to count up, but maybe 5 plants, maybe 6 plants. So they've gone mild this year, but they're mainly white, which is fine. I think the white ones are weeds, classed as weeds in reality. but I'm finding them quite useful now that they're starting. And it's useful because we've got a surprising lack of Ammi Majus this year. It's really been disappointing. Let me show you what we've got for the Ammi. We have 2 plants effectively, and neither of them are anything special. The second one at the back is becoming a little bit more substantial. Certainly since the rain, that has grown probably a foot in the last week. But yeah, it's not going to last long at that rate. So I'm really thankful for the Achilliea that's over there, and I will be making great use of it. Now, in this bed, whilst I'm here, we have had massive growth in all of these plants this week. When I planted this first row of grass in the weed membrane, I honestly thought it wouldn't survive. It just looked like very fine strands of stem was attaching it to the roots, and I thought I'd manhandle it far too much and it was not going to work. But look at it now, and that again has really blossomed this week. Well, it's not blossomed, but it's grown this week. The ones behind it are absolutely fabulous. So these are bunny tails, I think. I really must remember to label things. Now they're doing well. They're shorter than I thought, shorter stems, so they're absolutely no use at this point in time for flower arrangements. However, I have cut a few off and I'm going to dry them and see what they do. So they're fine for drying at this length. I don't know whether they're going to get any longer, so I've kind of left some, but even since I've cut it, a whole load more have appeared, so I might come back in and harvest a few more just in case they all go to seed, because if I look closely at them now, there is a kind of seeds appearing or something appearing on them. So maybe I just need to be brave and cut the lot off and use them in my dried work later. So the Greek cress is just about ready. Whilst the flower heads are okay, they're nothing much, but we just need it to start producing the seed heads, which it's doing there. And what then happens, they become tall, straight seed heads that dry brilliantly, but also work well in an arrangement. I grew this to replace the euphorbia, only because of the sap in the euphorbia, and you can't really give out bouquets when you've got something that could irritate people's skins. So I'm trying that out as a trial to see what it's like. So the final bed to look at is what I class as a perennial bed because it had some feverfew, so it was planted up with quite a lot of feverfew, which is just coming out now, which is delightful. Again, staking problem, so too late and it's all fallen over, which has swamped the Rudebekia a bit. But I will be again cutting this back now and trying to dry them, see what happens with those. And we have another staking disaster of some more Achilliea. Now I knew this one was the stuff that I seeded last year, and so should be all different colours. I think it's called Colorado, so it's got lots of different colours in there. So from terracottas to peaches to pinks to even a raspberry colour in the distance there. However, again, due to my poor staking, it's collapsed on itself. Plus, I did find a pheasant in there. So, whether it was making a nest, I don't know, but it decided to settle in there for a bit, and I shocked it when I came round the corner. So that hasn't helped. So again, Achilliea is good, supposedly good for drying and keeps its colour. So I will be picking a lot of this to dry, and then I'm hoping that everything will grow back from the ground and come through the stakes. That's my hope. I don't know whether it does that. I don't know whether Achillea behaves like that, but we will try. I've got more than enough coming up and more than enough that is ready now that I can't use for my own needs. So that is my plan. The same with the Feverfew. That's going to be rich pickings today for the drying room, and we'll see whether it grows up from the bottom in a better state. So the only other thing to show you is my truly perennial cutting bed that I made last year. Let me show you that. So this is just on the edge of the overall cutting patch, and as you can see, it's still doing really well. The lupins have been absolutely fantastic. They were just sown from seed last year. They have been the best lupins I've ever had, and previously I've just bought them as perennial plants, but these have had so many more flowers than I've ever had on a lupin plant, and keep going. So I'm really pleased with those. I planted some Achillea. I had a lot of Achillea, and that's coming through. So I have got space that I can thin out that garden over there and not worry too much about it. The Alliums, these Alliums, which are Allium Sensation, have finished, and so I'm just letting them go to seed again so I can dry them. And then we've got a new Allium coming up here, which actually I find more useful in an arrangement because it's not as big, as you can see, and it's a deeper colour, whereas Purple Sensation is that, it's very purple, and so it's a bit like the bright blue cornflower, trying to blend it into the peaches and pinks that I am trying to achieve this year. Just didn't really go, which is why I've got so many flower heads. I didn't really use it, but this one I will be able to. And these ones that are coming up later, can we get those? These are a different type, and it's a name that I cannot remember, but they're great. So they start off green like this, and they then get more, they kind of fill themselves up with being purple-ish, more this sort of colour really, from the bottom going up. They're brilliant, and they're small, so again can be used as an extra detail in a bouquet, so they're great. As I say, the lupins, we still have new flowers emerging. This is the state that you should be picking them. So with flowers still to come through, because when you pick a lupin, it still continues to grow in the vase. So they're a bit like tulips. They kind of weave themselves around and make strange shapes, which is kind of cool if you are expecting that. A lot of them I've picked off and going to seed, so as you can see these are now starting seeds, so cut those off and you should get more flowers, although I can't believe I will get more because I've had masses, but that's where we are. So the Mai Tai Geum, again self-seeded, is finished. Can't even see the plant. There we go. There wasn't much flower, they weren't very big flowers this year, but I'm hopeful for next year because this beauty at the end has been flowering since the first of the flowers and is still going strong. I don't know what, I bought this as a plant, so it's obviously more substantial than the seeds that I sowed last year, but it has continued to grow, the flower stems along, so they really add a brilliant sense of whimsy to a flower arrangement. It's just that it's bright orange. So the Mai Tai colour will be so much better if that comes along. So that's all of the flowers in flower. Oh, actually, no, we have one more. The Foxgloves. And to be honest, this was an afterthought when I planted these. I have got some foxglove seeds, apricot Sutton, and I believe these must have been them, because I've never had them this beautiful colour before. They're normally the weed variety, self-sown weed variety of purples and whites. The whites are lovely. Purples, again, it's a colour that you can't really use that much. But this is gorgeous. And it is... I cut some in a vase the other day, along with the lupins. I thought they'd be competing with each other, but these are... I thought lupins were my favourite. No, these are in a vase. They stay as you see them now, so they stay upright. They look... When did I cut them? It must have been before the rain, so we're getting on for a week, and they still look great. The lupins are looking past their best in the vase. These are still looking great, so I am going to sow more of these this year for definite. And as it's a biennial, it's time to sow them now. So talking about seed sowing, let me just show you the seeds that I sowed on the 1st of June to see what progress we've got there. Whilst we're at it and passing, here's the Dahlias. So they are growing, nothing much to show just yet, but they're all looking fine and dandy, and we only have one casualty to slugs, which is this little cutting, one of the cuttings that I took. It's been eating quite a lot. I suspect it's not going to grow, but we shall see. The rest though, all looking really well. So the 1st of June sowings are looking like this. And I've got some more around the corner. So it's a bit hit and miss, to be honest. So that is cornflower, black ball, so that's a better colour than the blue one that we've seen already. We have some stalks, not many come through. And some billy buttons, again, not many. And what's this? That's Campanula, which again, some starting to come through now. So this is what, 2 weeks since sowing. Phlox, we have a few come through. Dorcas, nothing. Calendula, well, that's doing great guns, but calendula can grow anywhere, so I'm not surprised. This is some China asters. Not many, not doing much. And that's some more Bupleurum. Absolutely diddly squat in there, so that hasn't really worked, I don't think. I would have expected it, if it's going to grow, I would have expected something by now. This is Cosmos. So we're not doing too bad there. We have some germinated at least. And this is Scabiosa Ping Pong. Again, just for drying, but I seem to have lost the lot elsewhere, so we have a few going there. And this is the rest. So snapdragons, not a thing, nor is there anything in the larkspur, nor is there anything in the Ammi Majus. But we're doing pretty well for zinnias. So I'm really pleased with those, actually. And if we look at those compared, so these were sown 2 weeks ago. Let me show you the seeds that were sown 1st of May that are planted out and see whether you can spot the difference. So take a good look at these. They're about 1 inch to 2 inches high. They're just starting to form, they've got the first set of leaves, they've got the second, and they're just starting to form an inner leaf, so we can soon be pinching that out. That's after 2 weeks. And this is the zinnias that were planted the 1st of May. So yes, they are bigger, I would expect that, but not significantly more. They have been attacked by slugs by the look of it. I have taken off I've pinched it out, so as you can see, we've got side shoots coming through. So they are bigger, but that's a month and a half difference. So for certain seedlings, it really doesn't seem to matter about leaving them too late. But others, like the larkspur and snapdragons, they definitely haven't taken to it. Nor has the Ammi Majus, strangely. But that's where we are. And as we're in the seedling bed, these are all going pretty well, all growing well, along with a lot of weeds coming through again. So my view at the moment on this bird is the Dahlias, which has got the straw over it, doesn't seem to have much sign of the weed growth. So I am going to cover this in a light covering of straw as well, to try and reduce the amount of seeds that are coming through, weeds that are coming through. I know it may risk the slug damage, so I might keep it clear of the zinnias and maybe the Nicotiana because they're problems. So I might just take the hit and put some straw down to help with the water retention and weed suppressant, and see how we go and keep an eye out for slugs. And the only random is this poppy that's self-sown, and you always feel such a shame to pull them out, so I've left them going. The bee likes it. And again, this will result in some really big seed heads for drying later. So there we have it. A tale of poor staking, I feel. Poor staking and lack of rain, so that the flowers really haven't grown. I don't tend to manually water them too much unless I really have to, because I haven't got the irrigation sorted out here. Another problem. So yes, we are where we are with this. We have flowers we can pick, certainly between the Feverfew, Achillea and Sweet Williams. I can make loads of bouquets. I only need one, so I'm absolutely happy about what we've got going on here. And I think we're making good progress. So until the next tour, happy gardening.